Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Calvas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today, we have another very interesting topic. I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about building a strong research framework, the backbone of scholarly inquiry. So, today we will explore the crucial pillar of academic excellence, the research framework, often called the backbone of scholarly inquiry. A strong framework does more than organize ideas. It gives the research journey with clarity, direction, and purpose. It shapes our questions, connect theory to methodology, and ensures that our findings are meaningful and credible. In this session, we will discuss all these things. So stay tuned because an amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to thank Kalwas for arranging such enlightened sessions for their support and providing us such a wonderful platform. The aim of Kalwas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world-renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen to learn from their experiences, recommendations, and suggestions, which will create an impact and will enable you to learn and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually, as well as to contribute to the world in positive way. As our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So today we have amazing person as guest. We have invited him for multiple times on Carlos platform, and he's so great and so generous that he always ready to share his knowledge through our platform to the whole world. So there is no need to introduce him, and since he remains the popular speaker of Calvas, and we receive always the suggestion to invite him again and again on different topics. So this time he will also be explaining the things to you in more detail. So once again, welcome to the Calvas platform, Professor Dr. FROILAN MOBO.
Yes, thank you for inviting me once again. I hope I could be able to share to our dear colleagues in the research community.
Thank you so much, and over to you, Prof. Thank you.
Good evening, good morning around the global community. I'm going to discuss for today's session about building a strong research framework. This is actually the backbone of scholarly inquiry because this is one of the most important factor on how we could be able to craft a good research or thesis on, especially when we could be able to do it in a part of uh, scholarly output. So when we talk about strong research framework, we are talking about what is a framework. So it is a blueprint or a structure that supports and guides your entire study. Of course, it can be able to connect with the concepts and maps the relationship between them. For example, if you're going to conduct your own research about a particular topic, for instance, in AI, you should be able to support that with a particular good framework that could be able to connect that to your study, specifically to connect that with your in-text citations. That is to define the concepts, the theories, which is what is the relationship all about. So that if you're going to write that in the results of discussion, it could be able to justify the meaning and purpose, especially when if you're going to uh, mention that in your conclusions and recommendations, it could be able to strengthen the content and purpose or justification of your study using a particular blueprint or a research framework. That's why there are two pillars of your framework. Number one is a theoretical framework, wherein in a basic thesis or research, these are models on how you could be able to frame up a particular study that could be able to connect from your introductions to the statement of the problem, to your hypothesis, everything that could be able to uh, create a particular unbiased results by crafting a particular related literatures that could be able to connect your your framework. For instance, the theory of planned behavior that could be able to connect on a following good study. So wherein if you're going to check this framework, it could be able to strengthen, to define what's the reason why you have used this kind of theoretical framework or model. If you're going to compare on the second one, this is a conceptual. This is the one who should be able to define in a paradigm the relationship of each variable. For instance, if you're going to create an IPO model or there's a relationship diagram using a dependent variable and dependent variable or mediating variable that could be able to relate each one another, because a particular conceptual framework is also connected with the said theoretical framework that could be able to strengthen your study, because that is coming from your objectives or statement of the problems, defining the purpose of the relationship. If you're going to craft from theoretical, connecting it to conceptual framework. That's why when we do research, when we craft a research, we always define the SMART definition, which is aligning and creating a structurized research using a particular framework or a model that can support your study along the way. Part of that, why is the backbone? Because it will be able to guide you the design in your methodology, the sampling method, and data collection methods, because it connects everything, no? From your title to your introductions, going to the objectives or statement of a problem, even to your significance of the study and other parts, it could be able to connect them to strengthen and to define smartly the meaning and the content of your research, simplifying its a relationship to the particular backbone. And of course, it's being grounded because it connects to your research, to the existing body of knowledge, to some scholarly conversation, especially if it's a qualitative design. When we talk about focuses and analysis, it could be able to be structured because of the content analysis, which is being interpreted coming from your data and making sense of the findings, especially if it is unbiased. So it's very important that we should be able to take a look at the focus analysis if there's a need to focus on one area of our research. Because if you are targeting a multiple stakeholders or multiple analysis, it quite be more difficult to craft a particular research using the following backbone from your guided design, the grounds of the theory, and the focus of analysis, wherein it could be able to generate a perfect output on your particular research proposal or completed research. Part of that, when you build your framework in a step-by-step process, you should be able to define your problem and questions and conduct a literature review to connect that specifically and clearly, because these are the basic foundations when we craft a good particular research, especially when we are going to have it indexed in Scopus, Web of Science, everything. From there, if it's being a well-crafted manuscript, there is no reason to reject it, but maybe some recommendations to enhance furthermore features that could be able to define and strengthen the said study. So those are the things that we should be able to be aware of. Now we could be able to be guided based on the basic foundations. When you are selecting your theoretical lens, it's very important that you should be able to connect the relationship of the particular product or services by connecting that or citing some legal framework based on the theoretical lens. Part of that, how you could be able to choose on that, it must be relevant. Does the theory actually apply to work, specific context, and have everything? For the explanatory power, does it help anyone explain the phenomena of your topic of your study? Then, last is traditional, because it's a theory that commonly used and accepted in your field of this particular study. So it's very important to select a good model or framework. So when we map that, when we connect that to your conceptual framework, it's very important that the key variables could be able to measure how it's being independent, dependent, mediating, or moderating variables. That's why you could be able to propose a particular relationship or a process that could be able to uh, intervene with the gap that they have. So it is something like you just be able to explain it, define it very well. And of course, part of those processes is that it could be able to give you some good idea. Just during the frameworks at a glance. You could be able to apply the theoretical framework coming from a source or a website. So you could be able to define some models or synthesis during that particular meeting. And another, it could be able to provide a theory of learned behavior because it might be able to strengthen and help their community as well based on a particular research. So those are the things that we should be able to be aware of. And some common pitfalls avoid the framework as afterthought or ignoring theory, conducting a study that's really descriptive with no connectivity to the why. It's very important always to define and help our colleagues. Okay, so those are the things that we should be able to be aware, ignoring theories and other things. So in part of the framework, the strong start helps you ensures your research is all about okay. Example is the coherent. Every piece connects from a researcher questions to the conclusion. So those are the things that we should be able to be aware of in terms of doing a particular processes in your research. So I think that would be all. But I would like to extend my invitations to all who are interested to join this kind of uh, topic on an online webinar. So if there are some questions that you want to ask, feel free to go to the website of our institutions and then explain the reason why. Okay. With that, of course, we have also a journal, which is it already takes uh, three members in a particular group. So this is a positive result coming from our journal. So with that, thank you and good evening, everyone. If there are some questions, please feel free to ask me about it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. Froilan Longo. It was very wonderful to listen and very comprehensive presentation. And you talked about very nicely how actually the framework is related to all the study guides to the design and how it directs actually the studies at all. There are few questions we just want to ask, and they want to ask. The first thing is the how do you decide which theories or models are suitable for your research problem? Yes, please.
Something like when you decide on that, it could be able to help you to define smart specifically connecting that to your statement of the problem or research problem that could be able to define by connecting that to your conceptual model and other possible variables that could be able to be used in a later point, especially if, let's say, uh, just like what we have cited last time, it's very important that you should have a related theories that could be able to help strengthen your study regarding this important topic. That would be all, sir.
Very nice, Prof. Thank you very much for your answer. Now, another very interesting question is that can a research framework change during the study? If yes, under what conditions? Because as you mentioned as well that these are the pitfalls of the sometimes the student commit these kind of mistakes. Yes, please.
Commonly, there are some things that we want to change, especially during the conduct of the study. We have to make sure that we have to check the statement of the problem and other requirement that will not be a big problem that might be encountered because if those problems are not being addressed, it will be resulted to, of course, possible problem that it might be able to lead to non-inclusion of your research in a particular international indexing. Those are the common things that we have to ensure that following topics or areas could be able to be accepted by the said indexing. So that would be all, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. And now another interesting question is the What challenges do early researchers face while building a research framework and how they can be overcome? Yes, please.
Commonly, the common problems early researchers being encountered along the way, because of course sometimes they are being uh, threatened or something like that, common challenges. But if you are have some uh, process on how they could be able to define the processes in a particular organization, so it will not be a gap or a particular group. So I hope I have answered your questions clearly
Very
as well.
nice. Wonderful, wonderful. And last two questions, please. Another question is the if you had to explain your research framework in 1 minute, how would you do it? Very nice question.
Of course, when we explain a particular research framework, it will be able to enable you to support that with some RRL coming from other journals or Scopus Index. It might leverage you to gain more visibility, and it's very important when we do that kind of session.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Doc. Any more, Doc? At least there's
Yeah.
one.
Okay, nice. And I think when you have the clarity of the research framework, you can explain it maybe in 30 seconds. But if you don't have the clarity, that might lead you to not explain it even in 1 minute. So very nicely you said it. Okay, now the another last question is that what tools, the templates or the strategy do you currently use to build your framework? You are doing wonderful research work. So what are your strategies while when you are developing the framework? Yes, please.
Commonly, my common strategies, which is I'm currently doing to use some references coming from Scopus, of course, is to know the trend with regards to, for example, regarding the weather, the environment, that
Mhm.
might have a negative impact on our place, but we have to do something about that with that kind of study, not only by words, but in action totally.
Wow,
Yes,
nice. Wonderful, wonderful, Prof. And it's always pleasure to listen to your wonderful presentation and powerful content. And as you know that every time we take your message at the end of the session. So what is your message to the world this time as a speaker, author, teacher, researcher, trainer, learner, educator, and professional? Yes, please.
of course, my message is that just continue on striving very hard, because uh, most likely we could not say that this situation might be able to give us a positive impact, especially on me as a publisher, and also helping other teachers as well by using the kind of framework.
Wow.
So,
Wow, very nice, wonderful. So each time you give a very powerful message to the audience, and I'm sure they are enjoying it and they are learning a lot from your sessions and your recommendations. To the audience, please do follow our distinguished guest speaker through his research work, and you can email him for future learning and guidance. He's very generous and to help the people. That's all we have time for today. And thank you once again, Professor Dr. Fullan Mobo, for your wonderful presentation and powerful content. I would like to thank our audience who joined us. If you have any additional questions, information shared today, please email us or connect to the speaker directly through his email or social media. Thank you all for your support and liking our sessions. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session. Until next session, take care of yourself. Bye bye.